Welcome to a new video. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. The first story is called, I'll Do Just That. This happened to me a long time ago while I was in 8th grade middle school. I got grouped up with two other girls in my history class. I honestly cannot remember what the presentation was about. But I do know that we had 1 week to get it done and present it on the following Monday. So I decided to take charge of the presentation and asked the other two girls what they wanted to work on. The first girl said, I haven't been paying attention to anything with this presentation. What is it about? And the other girl asked, can't you just do the whole thing? But that wouldn't be fair to me if I did the whole thing. How would you two present anything if I do the whole thing myself? I don't care. I'll just stand up there and look pretty. Yes, just do the whole thing and leave us alone. I was furious. But I also didn't want to deal with them anymore. This was the first time I've ever spoken to them. And all I can remember thinking at the time was how annoying they were. So I simply replied, I'll do just that. Thanks. So off I went, cranking out this long presentation over several days. I had no contact with them, just like they asked. The work wasn't that bad once I broke it down into small chunks. Monday was the presentation day, and here's the kicker. Since both of them weren't paying attention to what the teacher was saying during the lecture, they obviously didn't know that they were required to speak during the presentation. Remember, I asked them, how would you two present anything if I do the whole thing myself? My plan was to present everything in a slideshow, and that's it. I had naturally memorized the slides and what I was going to say, considering I did the whole thing myself. It's now our turn to present, and here's how the whole thing goes down. I presented the information with slideshows and all. After I was done, I looked over to the teacher, who is giving me a smile and nod, and then the teacher looked over to the girls. I, for whatever reason, just walked over to my desk and sat down. I don't know why I decided to do it, but it worked out so well in my favor. Because now, both girls are stuck in front of the class since the teacher is staring at them for some kind of input, removing any attention to me. And boy was I glad I sat back down. I got to watch them both from the comfort of my seat swarm and stammer throughout their part of the presentation. I had left them the ending of the presentation, with 2 slides each, and they were lost the entire time. The teacher was fuming at this point. She stopped the class and pulled all 3 of us outside. Can someone explain to me what exactly is going on here? Why are you two completely not prepared? They stuttered and said, we are nervous. You're not prepared for your entire presentation, and now you can't even give me an explanation as to why? What happened? I just did my part and left them to do the part they wanted. Is that so? Okay, girls, which part of the presentation did you do? We did the ending. Yes. What's the ending of your presentation? They couldn't answer this. So the teacher said to me, go back inside and let the class know that we'll be right back. I went back inside and let everyone know what happened. I didn't see both girls back in class until 3 days later. They had gotten an indoor suspension, and they never spoke to me after that. The next story is called, You Need a Male Employee to Help You? A couple of years ago I worked at the big blue and yellow superstore as a member of the remodeling crew. Our team consisted of about 30 workers from 4 different stores in the area. Our job was basically to move all the products and shelving around and putting up signage, while also directing confused, frustrated customers to the new location of a product. About 1/4 of the employees on this team was Hispanic and spoke either very little or no English. I was a Spanish minor, so I liked hanging out with them because they really helped me with my Spanish speaking skills. So one day, as I'm moving some cosmetics to their new home, I overhear a man say he hates this remodel because all the products are moved and he doesn't know where the drill bits for his specific drill are. We heard this basically 5 times a day, every day. Luckily, I was moving the hardware products last week and knew exactly where the drill bits he wanted were. Our conversation went like this: hello sir, I can help you find the drill bits. I just put them away last week. I'm looking for a specific set of drill bits. I know what section they are all in, and I'm sure I can help you find the ones you are looking for. Well, I was actually going to ask a male employee. They know more about this stuff. Plus I see you're busy putting makeup away. Really sir, I'm not busy. Let me show you. No. I want a male employee. You won't know what you're talking about. Just find me one. I felt a bit defeated, as this happened with female employees a decent amount of the time, even though we all know where all the products are. Luckily for me, I knew the perfect employee to ask. I went up to one of the Hispanic workers I got along with well, and with my best Spanish, I explained the situation. He just smiled and nodded. I took him over to the rude guy, and the conversation went something like this. At the time my Spanish wasn't great, so I'm paraphrasing what my coworker said. Here you go sir, my coworker will be able to help. My coworker said in Spanish, "How can I help you today?" The rude guy asked me, "What did he say?" My coworker said, still in Spanish, "I can help you find the bits." This guy only speaks Spanish. This doesn't help at all. Well sir, you wanted a male employee and I got you one. Everyone else in the area is busy, so either he helps you or I help you. My coworker said, still in Spanish, "I would be happy to help you, idiot." But the rude guy huffs and turns to me, "Fine, I guess you can show me where the drill bits are." And I did. I knew exactly where they were. The rude guy found the exact set he wanted and left. It just goes to show, you shouldn't undermine any employee because many of them know what they are doing. I didn't stay at that job long and now work a job I love at my university's library. The third story is called, Just Following the Dress Code. A couple of years ago, I worked retail in a store geared towards children, a very magical store. Lots of princesses, superheroes, and rodents, you get the picture. Our store had about 25 female employees, including all of the management, and 3 male employees. The dress code was incredibly strict. We had a uniform that had to be ironed all the time, no visible tattoos, only natural hair colors. Women were encouraged to wear makeup and style their hair. Men were either to be clean-shaven or have fully grown-in facial hair. For some reason, one particular manager was intent on nitpicking me regarding the dress code, even when I was in complete compliance with it. I was constantly told that I needed to iron it better, so I started getting it dry cleaned, and somehow that still wasn't enough. I wore very minimal makeup and she constantly told me I should wear more, though she couldn't make me. Hair bows were a big thing at the store and people made and gave us as presents custom ones highlighting characters. They weren't exactly against the dress code, but they did push the limits. Regardless, this particular manager seemingly only had an issue with them when I wore them. Once, she got down on her hands and knees with a ruler to prove my pant hem was too long, only to be proven wrong. There were also some conversations about my appearance that, looking back, were definitely body shaming. As a side note, this particular manager was a natural brunette, but she dyed her hair black and bleached a portion of the hair underneath so that it would show. I got the itch to dye my hair, and before working for the store, I had always loved to color my hair all sorts of colors. However, with the dress code, only natural hair colors were allowed, so I came up with a compromise: silver. I went and had my hair professionally lightened and dyed silver. The next day I worked, the district and regional managers were visiting the store. I was always picked to work those days because I had the best stage presence and knowledge of the company, and those two were always impressed by me. When I showed up to work that day with my new shiny silver hair, my store managers were appalled. They wanted to send me home immediately, and for whatever reason, they decided to talk to me in front of the higher-ups. This is a paraphrasing of the conversation: "You're in major violation of the dress code." How so? Your hair isn't a natural color. Yes it is, gray is a natural color. But you aren't gray yet. So it looks unnatural to be all gray. Are you saying that we can't dye our hair at all if it's not a color that would grow out of our heads naturally at this moment? No, you can dye your hair. It just can't be obviously fake. It needs to look real. I pointed at the manager, who was constantly on me. Your hair is half black and half bleach blonde. I feel like that looks more unnatural than my gray hair. I turned to the higher-ups and asked if I was in violation. They agreed with me that I was not. I also showed them one of my bows and they fawned over it and even asked me for directions on how to make one. In the end, I got to keep my silver hair and my bows, and my manager was told that her hair actually was a dress code violation and she had to dye it before coming in the next day. The last story is called, Refuse a $40 Refund. Last September, my wife had planned a wonderful Father's Day present for me. Father's Day is in September in Australia. This was to be my first ever Father's Day as a new dad. So to mark the occasion, my wife had arranged to have our daughter's face laser etched onto a dog tag. However, the day before Father's Day, she received the item back and it was, shall we say, subpar, so she came to me and showed me my present early. Now I've had some experience with bad retailers before and remembered to always come prepared when disputing the quality of any goods and services. So I set my phone to record all audio and approached the retailer. I explained that my wife was upset at the quality of the engraving, and rightfully so. I requested a refund and was immediately met with resistance. To begin with, they blamed the quality of the photo we provided. Then when I disputed that, they said that laser engraving doesn't do depth very well and some faces can end up with some shadows missing. End of conversation. They refused a refund and threatened to call security if I didn't leave. The engraver is located in a mall that I also happen to work in. My wife and I left. We straight away left a less than glowing review on their Google page. This was met with accusations of us being unreasonable and threatening violence. Ours was not the only review to which they had this response. They informed us that the matter had been passed on to the local police and that a restraining order had been applied for. We immediately called all local police stations and were delighted to hear that they had never heard of the company in question. After some thought, and me being the stubborn man that I am, I decided to forward the matter to the local small claims tribunal. A month or so passed and our day in the tribunal had arrived. We honestly weren't expecting the engraver to show up. But lo and behold, there he was. At a civil claims court, in a hoodie. We met in a room with a mediator, who told us that it may not be worth chasing a $40 refund from someone who is, in short, a jerk. She warned that it may end up costing more than the service, to begin with. But, as mentioned before, I am stubborn. We pushed forward, opting to go to a hearing. This is when we heard some marvelous news from the engraver. I'm not prepared to go to hearing today. I haven't got any of my evidence. We went to a hearing that day. The registrar ruled in our favor and issued a notice of payment. The business was to pay us $40 within 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, no payment, no surprise. During this time, I had been communicating via email with the holder of the engraver's lease, who, in response to my complaint among many others, had decided to terminate the lease, effectively kicking the engraver out of the mall. While the engraver was organizing a new venue for his business, I had filed a motion for a writ for the levy of property, meaning the local sheriff was able to enter his premises and relieve him of merchandise to the value of the refund plus court fees, now totaling $139. I informed the engraver, asking him if he would like to sell like a reasonable person or have the sheriff pay him a visit. He was not a reasonable person. Just so you know, you now owe us $139 due to failure to pay in time for the original order. Would you like to sort this out like a civilized person, or would you prefer I send the sheriff to your new shop to repossess some items to cover the cost? He answered, go for gold, mate. That's not how the law works. With a smiley face. Once the writ had been issued, the fee then increased to $225. All I had to do was wait. And wait I did, until March 13th this year, when the sheriff finally attended his new business premises. He was offered an ultimatum. Pay the fee, or have merchandise repossessed. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. The man paid. He was stubborn for over 6 months over a $40 refund, only to be down $225 and $5 in interest. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye.